that was Dylan. What's yours?
Mine is Jimi Hendrix's Cornerstones from 1990. This was, I think, a UK release, and I would have bought this in early 91. I came to buy it because I heard in our rec room at school somebody had brought in a Hendrix album, and I think it was Purple Haze. I remember hearing "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky," and I thought, what is that?
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
And we could bring in tapes and records to play.
So, with the record player?
With the record player, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when I bought this, it's sort of my real first encounter with the blues.
Right.
But I have to be honest, I was very ignorant at the time of what the blues were. I wasn't particularly great at knowing music genres. I think I could have told you what synth pop was, or rock.
Okay.
Or hair metal, but beyond that, I really didn't have an idea.
So a little bit like me when I encountered Dylan and some other stuff in the 60s.
I mean, it was such a long way off.
Yeah.
And it wasn't frequently on the radio. I mean, I was probably hearing the occasional rock song. I think maybe Capital Radio, Radio 1. I probably remember hearing Stairway to Heaven more than I heard any Hendrix. So when I heard Hendrix, it was a bolt from the blue, quite literally. Yeah, so when I got this, when I was first playing it, I was just playing the first side, which is Hey Joe, The Wind Cries Mary, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady.
Gosh, yes.
And I don't think I played the second side.
Well, that's just shocking.
Probably for 10 years.
What? Because side one was so great, you never got past it?
Side one was all the stuff that I could understand. I mean,
right.
I could process it. I could process it as something close to the kind of the rock music that I was listening to. I mean, Guns N' Roses had hit that time. I think we had Cure, Motley Crue, and I could process that. The second side seemed really exotic to me because this is his later stuff. This is the late,
right.
I think this is the 69, the 70s stuff. And what I really loved about this album was the inner sleeve, which actually gives a little blurb about each track and when it was.
Great.
And when I read the first side, this all sounded great. These were the hits. This is the stuff that got Jimmy well known. By the time I got to the second side, and it was talking about posthumous this, posthumous that, it was a bit of a downer, quite frankly. Yes. And the music was less understandable to me. It was more psychedelic. It was funky. I hadn't got into Curtis Mayfield yet, so it didn't track for me. So it just didn't make any sense. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about the cover because the cover credit is for a graphic design company called Abraham's Pants.
I see.
And I'd just done graphic design at school at that time, and one of the projects we'd had was actually to design an album cover. So, I love the fact that this looked that kind of mix between late 80s and early 90s design that was out there at the time. I think these guys did a Duran Duran album as well.
Okay, yeah. So I have to say, you look at it and it really says 80s.
It does.
It does. It's like, well, this is Jimi Hendrix.
I actually thought that the middle shot was a bit confusing. Why have they got Phil Lynott on this? When I started listening to, the very first track is Hey Joe, and that intro, I remember thinking, I've not heard anything really like this.
It is so powerful.
It is so bluesy. Yeah. It is so... the tempo is also extremely different. It's got this heavy sound, and the drumming in the background is just absolutely amazing. So for me, right from word go, I just thought, this is such a different album to what I was listening to, or being exposed to, whether I was listening to radio or Top of the Pops. My favourite track actually was The Wind Cries Mary.
All right.
That, it had a really somber mood to it, which, Whiter Shade of Pale
by
Procol Harum.
One of my favourite songs.
Oh, right, is it? Now? Oh, wow.
Yes.
So it had that kind of mood, and I knew that, and I thought, I really like that.
Yeah.
And, obviously where we cross over here is in All Along the Watchtower.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't say I was really into it. I was probably more into Voodoo Child, which of course is based on Muddy Waters' Catfish Blues, and I absolutely love that. Love that track. I think it's the last track on this side. So for me, the shift was from these kind of somber, slower, heavier, bluesy tracks to these kind of rockier, faster, psychedelic tracks with all these amazing effects. I didn't know who a guy like Roger Mayer was. So this was all new to me, So that was all amazing for me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because this is obviously guitar focused.
Yeah.
A lot of the music you mentioned in the 80s, it's not so guitar focused.
Yeah, it's keyboard, it's vocal stuff. And Jimmy, bless him, I know he wasn't a fan of his voice, but actually his voice is extremely effective at conveying mood. And I've always loved that about Jimmy. And he's also, rhythmically, he's absolutely spot on when he's delivering it. But when I did listen to side 2, songs like Freedom, are really quite bluesy. I mean, I love Angel. It's sort of a sing-along, soul blues type song. And Drifting is almost what I describe as a sort of a genre that Jimmy invented, which was kind of a cosmic blues. I mean,
oh yeah, lovely.
It's got that kind of Curtis Mayfield thing. Yes. So this was avowedly the very first album that I sort of seriously listened to and thought there's something going on here that I don't understand and doesn't quite sit as easily as a lot of the stuff that I've been listening to. And it got me thinking, maybe there's some more stuff to listen to.
Isn't that great how a compilation really works? It introduces you to something new. It gets you there.
It got me there.
Yeah.
Piece by piece.
Great stuff.
If you want to support the channel, like, share and subscribe on YouTube and on Patreon.